What's going on YouTube? This is David with the Black Techies. Now we've had 10 years of the iPhone, and over those 10 years, Apple has made the edges a little rounder, made the screen a little bigger, but how we interact with the iPhone has not changed over these 10 years until now. With the iPhone 10, Apple has ditched the home button, introduced new gestures, gotten rid of Touch ID, and it's $1,000. Is it worth it? Well, I've spent 2 weeks with the iPhone 10. I've got some thoughts. Now to start off, let's get those specs out the way. On the front, the iPhone 10 is rocking a 5.8-inch 2436 by 1125 OLED display with 428 pixels per inch. The front camera is the 7 megapixel True Depth camera that also houses an array of sensors and IR projector that enable facial recognition. More on that later. Inside is the Apple A11 Bionic chip with 3 gigs of RAM, and my particular model has 256 gigs of storage. You know, go big or go home. On the back, we have two 12 megapixel cameras, one wide angle and the other telephoto. The one difference between this and the iPhone 8 Plus is that both cameras are optically stabilized. Setting up the phone was actually pretty easy if you're upgrading from a previous iPhone. Just simply hold the iPhone 10 next to your old iPhone, and it'll basically copy the settings and apps directly from the old iPhone. Alright, let's talk design. Personally, I think this is a very beautiful iPhone, one of the most beautiful we've had in a while. I have small hands, and so I love how compact it is, and coming from a 6S Plus, I love that perfect balance of screen to body ratio that makes it really easy to hold and handle. On the downside, the glass back and around the corners make it very slippery, which means I'm putting a case on it. Hashtag not sponsored. Overall though, I think it's a very beautiful design, and I hope Apple keeps this up. Notch and all. Alright, so speaking of notches, let's talk about Face ID. Now, because Apple got rid of the home button, they obviously had to replace Touch ID with Face ID. Now, not to get too technical, but Face ID is basically like a mini Kinect inside your phone. It blasts your face with about 30,000 infrared dots that kind of make a mathematical model of your face. That model is then stored inside the secure element inside your phone. Now, as you change your appearance, say you grow facial hair, or you wear a hat, or you wear glasses, it changes that model to kind of grow with you, so that way, no matter what happens to you, you still can be recognized by Face ID. After using it for a while, I have to say, I'm actually kind of a fan of Face ID. In fact, the setup is actually quite easy. You just simply roll your head twice in the setup, and bam, you're done. It literally took like 15 minutes to set up, even faster than Touch ID. I have to say, in practice, Face ID is actually pretty fast. Now I will say, it's not as fast as Touch ID 2.0, but it is much faster than the first iteration of Touch ID. Also, all the apps that used Touch ID before will automatically use Face ID on the iPhone 10. Also, one thing that I really like, if you have a notification that pops up while you're not looking at it, it won't actually show the notification until it authenticates your face. That way, if you have any prying eyes trying to see any notifications you have, they won't be able to see it. I like that. And people who are privacy minded will also like that. That said, I don't think Touch ID is for everyone. In fact, I think a lot of people may find Touch ID a little bit more convenient than Face ID. For example, I can't unlock my phone while it's lying on the desk. I have to reach over and actually pick it up to authenticate my face. With Touch ID, I can just simply go over and touch the phone just to see some notifications. But for the most part, Face ID works pretty well, and I don't really miss Touch ID that much. Alright, let's talk about that screen. That nice 5.8-inch OLED screen. It's not as vivid or as bright as the Samsung S8, S8 Plus, or the Note 8, but it's definitely better than the Pixel 2 XL. That said, that's actually saying something, because I've actually thought the regular LCD screens, the iPhone 8 the iPhone 8 Plus, and all the older iPhones were actually pretty good. Overall, I don't think most people will find really anything bad to say about the iPhone 10 screen. I will say though, although most apps are being updated to support the taller aspect ratio, there are a few apps, Google and Microsoft especially, who have not yet updated their apps to support the iPhone 10. When it comes to watching video, it's kind of hit or miss depending on the app that you're in. Some apps like YouTube and Netflix will allow you to expand the video to fill the screen. This makes watching videos a lot more immersive and engaging, and Netflix in particular supports HDR content. Other apps like Crunchyroll will keep the aspect ratio to that of an iPhone 8, which is kind of disappointing. Other Android phones that use a taller aspect ratio, like the LG V30 and the Samsung Galaxy S8, are also kind of going through the same growing pain. Performance-wise, this thing is a beast. Not only do the synthetic benchmarks prove this out, but just using the phone in everyday activities, it just runs like a charm. ARKit, which is Apple's foray into augmented reality, runs like a charm. Just regular 2D and 3D games runs like a charm. I've had no hiccups, no stutters, and honestly I can say that this is probably the most powerful mobile chip out there right now, bar none. Sorry Samsung fans. Alright, so with the removal of the home button, that means that you're going to need a different way to navigate iOS 11 on the iPhone 10. Fortunately, I just have a video just for that. Click on that eye right there to see a tips and tricks video I made to navigate you through the new gestures on the iPhone 10. Needless to say, it might take a while to get used to the gestures. I'm just saying. Maybe not a whole week, maybe a day or two to kind of get used to swiping. But honestly, after about a week, it's pretty natural. Now, I will say every once in a while, I'll default back to my physical home button ways and I'll put my thumb down there as if there's a button there and there's not. But eventually, once you do it enough, it'll become secondhand soon enough. So about battery life. Well, my use case is kind of different. I mean, I don't really go around a long period of time without charging my phone. I have chargers at home, at work, in my car, so I don't really have to worry about topping off my phone, so your mileage may vary. What is convenient though is wireless charging. I really wish Apple would have put wireless charging in their phones a long time ago. What isn't convenient? Fast charging. The fact that Apple did not put fast charging in the box is kind of annoying. I mean, this is a $1,000 phone. You would think they would add fast charging to the box when all the other Android phones out there are adding fast charging out of the box. Now, as far as the camera, I will be the first to say that I'm not a photography expert. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there that will go in detail as far as the ISO and white balance and dynamic lighting and all of that. So, sorry, you're not going to get an in-depth camera review from me. But I will say, to my non-professional eyes, the pictures on the iPhone 10 are amazing. My family recently took a trip to the African American History Museum, and I gotta say that the low-light photography on this thing is really good. In fact, it's way better than my iPhone 6s Plus, and this is likely due to the optical image stabilization that is on both of the lenses on the rear camera. As far as portrait photos go, the iPhone actually takes some really good portrait photos. But you know what? I'm gonna shock the world, and I'm gonna go on record in saying that the Google Pixel 2 takes the best portrait photos. I mean, look at this photo right here. Clearly, the photo on the right is better than the photo on the left. And the right was taken with the Pixel 2 XL, and the left was taken with the iPhone 10. But overall, I think the iPhone 10's camera is excellent, and most people using it will not find anything to really complain about. Actually, I think the iPhone 10's camera is so good, I'm actually shooting this video with one right now. Of course, no iPhone 10 review is complete without an emoji. Basically, an emoji maps your face to an animated emoji, hence an emoji. I have to admit, it's kind of a cool feature. A gimmick, but cool nonetheless. Unfortunately, this is only limited to the iPhone 10. So if you have the 8 or the 8 Plus, you're out of luck. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on the iPhone 10. Is it worth it? Is it worth $1,000? Even more if you get the 256 gig model like I did? That kind of depends on you. If you're coming from a 6S or earlier, definitely get the iPhone 10. If you're coming from a 7, it might be worth it to see what it's like not to have a home button and to use Face ID. If you're coming from an 8 or an 8 Plus, it might not really be worth it because 90% of the stuff on the iPhone 10 is also in the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. On the Android side, if you already have a recent Android phone like the LG V30 or G6 or the Samsung Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, or the Note 8, you don't really need to do that. They already have all the features that the iPhone 10 has, like wireless charging or a bezel-less display. Plus, a lot of those phones already have features that are not on the iPhone 10. As for me personally, a lot of my friends and family have iOS devices, so it's a lot easier to communicate with them over FaceTime or iMessage. So for me, the choice is clear, iPhone 10. But for you, it might be different. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. And as always, like if you like, sub if you love. Peace.